Good morning. It's actually morning here, about 10:31 on the West Coast. Once again, I apologize if I have to pause to cough as we work through this cold um, in the first month of the year. So after the news, we're going to share some things about Bitcoin, did a little study on that, and then did a little research on some stocks that are setting up maybe a part of your watch list. So here we go. I'm going to share the screen, take a look at the heat map. It's a freeze map mostly today, as most everything is down on the pretty rise in retail sales, which has jumped up the bond yields. The dollar kind of gapped up again. So the only thing that is up is this little corner in healthcare and maybe a little bit of insurance on the bottom. So that's where we sit right now. So if you're concerned about things going down, as a lot of people are talking down the economy and how we're going to have a pretty bad break here, should definitely look at annuities. Annuities beat index investing by about 5%. They go up. They do not come down. You do not lose money in an annuity, whereas you can lose money in index investing. So annuities, they give a bonus on any new money coming into the fund. I believe some annuities were paying anywhere from 35 to 45% bonus on any new money. And that is the story there. So let's go to our charts. We're going to take a look first at the new Bitcoin ETFs. I believe this is the fourth day. And let me share the screen. So first, did a little research. Microstrategies. This is Toyota. Looks like it's kind of setting up. Toyota Industries. And this is Toyota Motor. Looks very similar. Tried to break out and is doing a little bit of pullback today. But Microstrategy, it's off about 33%. They have 190,000 Bitcoins, second largest to Grayscale. I believe they did a bond offering when the price was pretty close to zero in 2020 and bought up most of their Bitcoin. They can do more bond offerings, junk bonds or whatnot to raise more money to buy more Bitcoin. And they have by far more Bitcoin than any of the new ETFs that have been approved except for Grayscale. And the fee, you're getting charged a 1% fee, at least by all the new ETFs where MicroStrategy has actual business behind it that delivers certain $1 million worth of revenue. So it might be something to pour a little more due diligence. So this is MicroStrategy. We looked at Grayscale. A little bit of a pullback, not quite as much as in Grayscale. There's a Bitwise Bitcoin. Yeah, they got a pretty big pullback as well, down another 2.23% today. Hashdex is the third of 11. A little bit of a pullback to the 50-day moving average. There's a big run up before the ETFs were approved. And then once it was approved, you sell on facts and buy on rumor. So that's kind of how things work out here. Pretty good pullback there as well. In IBIT. And then we got Valkyrie Bitcoin Fund, BRRR. Nice little pullback there. Had a little excitement on the first day, just like IBIT did. ARC with Kathy Woods. Same kind of action. Big pullback as Bitcoin has sold off. Invesco, Galaxy Bitcoin ETF. Same sort of a pullback we've been looking at. VanEck Bitcoin Trust. It's called HODL, nickname for holding on long term. Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Fund. Yeah, big sell off. Excitement came in, and then I guess all the holders sold off here. And Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust Fund. Down another 2.43 today. And Franklin Bitcoin ETF. So Kathy Woods believes that there's going to be only 3 or 4 of these remaining ETFs out of the 11. So we'll kind of see if people sell off the ETFs at a certain point. They merge with other ETFs. So that's a look at the Bitcoin ETFs. And let's see what Bitcoin is doing today. Got a little bit of a pullback, down 2%. And Ethereum down close to 4.5%. Everybody's kind of reacting to the big increase in retail sales. They're worried about the markets being able to factor in the reduction in interest rates by the Federal Reserve. So we'll get back to the other stuff. Let's go back and take a look at the dollar. Dollar, as we see, big gap up yesterday, another gap up today, gets above the 20-day moving average, up 0.23%. Silver continues to fall. I'm glad I got out of that yesterday. Continues to fall. Gold, big drop in gold. Copper kind of sold off in the morning and trying to fight back. Southern Copper, big gap down, trying to fight back to the 50-day. Freeport McMoran, big gap down. Vale as well. BHP and Real as well. So there we have it. Here's the bonds. Move above the 200-day moving average. The 10-year is at 4.11%. And the 20-year is holding steady, still below the 200-day at 3.32%. And take a look at our VIX. VIX bounce, pulled back, and now it's surging above 15 right now. It's up 15.26. We said AJ Monte felt it would get around the 18 point, I believe, 4. So we'll just see if it goes that high. S&P 500 continues its pullback, gap down yesterday, pulled back to below the 20-day moving average, back off about 1% today. The equal weighted S&P is falling even harder, as take out the 7 biggest stocks out of the factor, then the smaller companies are falling much further. The NASDAQ holding a little bit stronger, but it is falling further than the S&P 500, down 1.26%. And the equal weight falling further, although it's only 0.02% further. IWM falling further to the 50-day moving average, down 1.4. And the Dow Jones down about 0.5%. So there we go. Tom Lee, who correctly predicted the move in the S&P 500, is predicting that we're going to get at least a 7% pullback in the markets after this month, and then it's going to close at around 5,200. That's a lot different than a lot of other people are talking about. They're talking about after May, we're going to have a severe crash, and the markets are going to go down with a hard landing. So who wins out? Will Tom Lee win the crown again this year? We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see what's leading the market today. GCT, and then we'll get to the news. GCT is a smaller issue, but its earnings are pretty stellar. Last year, 228%. This year, 16%. Look at this huge move above the 50-day moving average. When it gets that move, you might want to put on a put, protect your profits. Comes right down here, bounces off the 20-day moving average and continues up higher. We did put on about 700 shares today. And then we also looked at this company, Super Micro, on the pullback to 314. We bought 5 shares, and then we did a spread of, I believe it was 320 to 330. When it got down to 310. So it's up slightly from that point. We can see pulled back right around here. It's where we put in the spread, and then it popping up. So we'll see where this can go. This is quite a volatile issue, and it's a key player in the AI game. So it's not a whole lot of things that are up today. Nutanix, San Jose company, it's extended quite a bit. This would have been right around the buy area in this area right here, and it just keeps on moving on up. Datadog, this was something that I was looking after our show yesterday, and possible move out on this one. So looks like it's breaking out. The breakout would have been 124.79, and it's 124.85. So after you do your own due diligence, this might be something for your watch list. And then LPG is trying to bounce back a little bit here. These are the only things in the up area today. In the down area, that's kind of scary, down 8.29%. Invesco on the NASDAQ Bank Index is down 1.2%. Calivo Growers down close to 13% here. Huge volume. Uranium miners, a little bit of a pullback here. I guess the Tesla long continues to struggle. Schwab got sold off pretty strong, trying to fight back, getting above the 50-day moving average. Another Bay Area company, 10X Genomics, big sell-off. Looks like an ugly waterfall here, down about 8% today. Pinnacle West Capital, I'm not doing too bad, down 1.7%. This is MSCI All Country World Index, got a strong pullback, 1.25%. Finally, Pinnacle Financial Partners, they are bouncing off of the 50-day moving average. Their earnings came in at negative 32%. So let's go to the news. So China's GDP came in less than expected. It's really kind of falling. So all the Chinese stocks kind of really sold off strong today. GDP was 5.2% versus estimate of 5.3% and 4.9% prior. December factory output 6.8% versus 6.6%. Retail sales 7.4%, missing the 8% estimate, and jobless rate 5.1% versus 5% in China. China home prices fell the most in almost 9 years. First-tier cities home prices fell 0.4%. And U.S. spending bill to avert a shutdown clears first Senate hurdle. Congress has 4 days to act. UK consumer price inflation, CPI, sped up for the first time in 10 months. ECB's SIMCUS is far less optimistic that markets on rate cuts. If we don't see any surprises that would change the data and thinking, I'm positive about rate cuts this year. ECB's Mueller says market expectations for 2024 ECB rate cuts are aggressive. Wage growth is not in line with the inflation target. So let's go to the company news. First, we look at consumer. Big Five sporting goods down almost 10%. Quarter four sales 196.3 million versus estimate of 209. So the retail sales didn't charge forward into Big Five. Camping World announces review of potential strategic alternatives for Good Sam business. Said no decisions have been made yet. Pulled back to the 50-day moving average. Recent IPO Instacart gaps up 5.28%, 151% volume, upgraded to outperform from peer perform at Wolf Research. Mattel downgraded to equal weight from overweight at Morgan Stanley, and it continues its downdraft down another 3% today. Rivian Motors downgraded to hold from buy at Deutsche Bank, and it continues its downdraft as well. Looks pretty ugly here. Energy, industrials, and materials. Albemarle polymer additives, catalysts, chemicals, and for batteries, lithium area, down 3.63%. SunPower adopts restructuring plan to reduce costs, saying sees restructuring charges of about 12.8 million, down 4.35% onto financials. Citizen Financial Group, Q4 EPS 85 cents versus estimate of 71 cents. It's up slightly, up 0.5%. Fulton Financial, Q4 operating EPS 42 cents versus 40 cents. People didn't like that enough, so it falls to the 50-day moving average, down 2.28%. Hancock Whitney, Q4 adjusted EPS $1.26 versus $1.19. People were looking for more. It does bounce off to the 50-day moving average, down 0.23%. Interactive Brokers, we were looking at Schwab earlier. Interactive pulls to the 200-day moving average and bounces up 2.31%. Leap Therapeutics in healthcare said its therapy candidate DKN-01 in combination with cancer drug bevacizumab and chemotherapy generated clinically meaningful tumor reductions in patients in advanced colorectal cancer in mid-stage study, and did nothing for the stock as it fell 11.5%. Merit Medical announced the successful enrollment of first patient in its multi-center prospective randomized controlled trial. Sells off to 10-day and then bounces to almost unchanged. Teladoc gap down. It's now below the 50-day moving average, off 5%. Technology, media, and telecom, Impinge, gapping up today. Huge volume. Preliminary Q4 revenues above 70 million versus estimate 67.02 and prior guide of 65 to 68.5 million. Plexus gapping down, near the low of the day, which isn't good. Said that it will not meet its Q1 revenue guidance of 990 million to 1.03 billion. GAAP operating margin of 4.8 to 5.3%. So that's bad news for Plexus. Progress Software, Q4 adjusted EPS $1.02 above estimate of 91 cents. Actually pulled back in the beginning and then surged the rest of the day of 4.09%. Viewership for Monday's Emmy Awards honoring the best television fell to a record low of 4.3 million on Fox. And their stock is off marginally. And GoPro said it agreed to buy Foresight Helmet Systems, which makes technology-infused helmets for motorcycles, and said it plans to roll out its own GoPro branded line of helmets, terms not disclosed, and GoPro is off another 1%. It is below all its major averages, and it needs to get going before get any interest in this. So at the beginning of the day, all our accounts were down. They did bounce back. Now it is just slightly above where they were first thing in the morning. GCT is trending a little bit better. Now Kava was writing the charge for everybody, and that has lost about $1,000 of its profit for the day. So that's kind of hurting the account right now. Samsara is down about 4.4%. Super Micro is down slightly. on the first 5 shares that I bought, and then the others are kind of repairing that. So it's kind of just above break even at around $8. So there we have it. So it is a pullback definitely today on the retail sales. So let's take a look at some of the watch list items that I've researched over the weekend. Spotify pullback to below the 20-day. Got a little bounce moving above the 10-day right now. Something to keep your eye on. Vertra, it's a little extended right now. See if we get a little bit of a pullback. Provider of training simulators for law enforcement. Udemy, online learning program, is definitely pulling back. It's below all the major averages. We'll see if what it's earning in 21 days will bring. Vertex, continue up strong, but need a pullback before you get into this, as it's extended, as pulling back a little bit today. Temper Sealy, it's in the buy area. See if it can get above the 20-day moving average here on this pullback. Kawani Scientific, up pretty strong. This gap up, and in this area would have been a nice area to buy, as it just keeps trending higher. Got a lot of blue volume there. And we looked at Plexus earlier. Pennant Group operates 49 senior living communities, 3,500 of senior living units, 14 states. Broke out of 1445 over here. Had a slight pullback and is just trending higher. Earnings up 28% last year and another 17% this year. National Healthcare, also in this area. All the kind of stocks I've been looking at are in the top 10 sectors of the market where mutual fund and professional money management are putting their money to work. EPIX, ESA Pharmaceutical, Canadian-based developer of small molecule drugs. Still not making any money. Tried to move up to 10. It's pulling back. See if it can come back to the 20-day and then bounce. Might be an area where you want to put on something. ACI Worldwide develops software products and services for ATM and point of sale. It's having a pullback to 20-day moving average. Might be area to put it on. If it bounces from this 20-day, just have to wait and see. Earnings are supposed to be up 33% this year. Last quarter, they were up 373%. And Cino, recent IPO, bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, down a little over 1% today. Earnings supposed to move up in 2024 and again in 2025. Provides cloud-based software solutions to banks and financial institutions. V-Cell develops human cell products in cell therapy and regenerative medicine. Broke out yesterday, having a pullback on the inflation. Bond yield news today. Looked at Burke yesterday. Slight pullback, but holding in there pretty strong. Juniper Networks Huge gap up, excuse me. Huge gap up here. It's holding above the gap. So this is pretty good right here, as long as it holds that low of the gap. We looked at Toyota Motor. Natural Resource Partners, MLP, engaged in owning, managing, leasing mineral properties in the United States. Actually at the sell area right now. So it need to have some sort of consolidation and a new breakout before, new base before putting any money to work. Pretty well extended from the breakout here. AMR. This is the number one area in sectors where people are putting money to work. Coal, as you can see, it's pretty well extended. Need to have some sort of consolidation. Right now it's bouncing off the 20-day moving average. I guess there's a possibility you could add if you had already shares. Ramaco Resources, trying to bounce near the 50-day moving average, still below the 20. Pretty low volume today. Big volume yesterday on the sell-off. Mtron Industries. Excuse me again. It seems to be pretty volatile, bouncing all over the place. If you can get a good buy point, I guess anything bouncing off of the 10 or 20-day moving average. Earnings up 421% last year, another 13% this year. Earnings last quarter up 200%. LiveRamp Holdings, data onboarding and connectivity services, helping brands and marketers. Get a little bit of a pullback into the buy zone here, down 2%. Supposed to be up 48% earnings this year, another 19% next year. Last quarter was up 95%. Abivax ADR is recent IPO, develops harness the body's natural regulatory mechanism to modulate the immune response. We got a call coming in. We're just going to screen this call and see if it's an actual caller. But it's up 0.7%, almost 1% on a pretty down day on the market. So there might be something to take a look at. Further look. It's not earning any money yet, but we know in the biomed, stocks can move up quite a bit before they earn money. We got Globant, Luxembourg provider of IT services with centers in South America. And it's got a little bit of a pullback. See if it can bounce off the 10 to 20-day moving average, which are pretty right in line, down 1.56% today. Earnings were up 17%. They're supposed to earn 13% in 2023 and another 12% in 2024 this year. And GCT, we can take another look at this one. It's getting close to where it reached a high of 2209 earlier. I did a healthcare buy, just to set my mind at ease, but I believe it was 200 shares. Then when it pulled back even more, I bought another 500 shares. So we're just sitting there. We'll see how these things turn out. We'll see how far back this pullback goes. We'll just continue to watch things. And let's take a look at the indexes. Quick look. Financials continue to pull back. Energy is not doing well today at all. Communications with Meta and Google pulling back to its 20-day moving average. Utilities huge dive today. Real estate, the interest rates diving as well, getting close to the 50-day moving average. Biotech down to the 20-day. Same with the other biotech. We got our software pulling back to the 10, 20-day moving average. Technology doing about the same. Semiconductor, I hit the wrong key. Semiconductors, looks like they're bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. Industrials continue to fall. Airlines continue to fall. Building materials, Home Depot, Lowe's, falling below their 50-day moving average. Metals and mining, actually bouncing off the 50-day moving average here a little bit. Must be steel producers, home builders. 10 and 20-day moving average tried to hold there. And you trying to hold at the 10, 20-day moving average. That's our show for today. Remember that Mornings with Michael is brought to you for information and educational purposes only. It is your responsibility to do your own due diligence. If we can help you with any of your goals, financial goals, please let us know. Go out there, continue to work on your goals and your activities. Continue to amaze those around you and yourself. And you'll make it to your own Super Bowl. And we look forward to applaud you in your efforts. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day.